Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, doing a bit of a different video, talking about duplicate copies of units and what you should be keeping in your box for different stuff like treasure map speed teams, supports, and for PvP and regular play, and what units work well if you have two copies of them. Now, nowadays, we don't really live in a meta where we need, like, cost-restricted units like we used to, but I still recommend, obviously, keeping one of every copy of every unit, and all of your, like, exclusive characters, Super Sugos, even some Sugo Fest exclusives, as well as stuff like Treasure Map Rare Recruits or Kazuna Rare Recruits. I would recommend keeping an extra copy just in case you need them for particular upgrades. But look, that doesn't apply to every single unit, and hopefully today's video helps you guys out with sifting through your box, maxing out particular characters, and keeping a spare copy for mainly stuff like supports. That's the big one. If you guys are doing some serious stuff with speed teams and treasure map, and with regular gameplay as well, with 6+s and stuff like that. I am going to probably miss some characters in today's video, so if you guys have any ideas on this particular topic, please let me know in the comments section below. I would also recommend maxing out a character's level limit break, especially Sugos, before keeping a duplicate copy. But if you're not going to get to the next level limit break tier, always keep that unevolved copy anyway. Ideally, this is all dependent on how much box space you have as well. But like I said, hopefully it helps you guys sift through your box. And if it does, make sure to go down there, belt the like button for me, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, or if you're coming back to the channel, you come back anyway. Hit the subscribe button, help a brother out, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of this type of content. But big shout out to the database for the images provided, and we're going to start it off with some supports, move into treasure map units, and then finally just all-round characters. So starting off with some support characters, the first one that came to mind was the Dark King Rayleigh and Corazon. Now, if you go down here, this particular Rayleigh goes on any Monkey D. Luffy, which is pretty much every goddamn unit in the game at level 1 to level 3. He removes 1 turn of Bind or Despair. At level 4 and 5, he gets the added Paralysis, and keeping a copy at level 1 to 3, and then having another copy at level 5, allows you to get the trigger of the Bind and Despair rather than if the Paralysis comes first. Now, in some content, you're going to have Paralysis pop up on stage 3, but you're really going to want to support for maybe 1 turn of Bind and Despair, and a level 3 Rayleigh is a character that is going to help you out. On top of Rayleigh, you have Corazon, another very, very good support character, goes on any lore, as you guys can see here. Now, lore has obviously a lot of characters in the game. He's a pinnacle character in the series, and another very good support. Once again, at level 3, he has Bind and Despair removal for level 1, and then he adds the added Paralysis on level 4 and 5. So make sure to keep both a copy of Corazon as well as Rayleigh, so that way, if you need these supports, you can use them at different parts of different quests. Because remember, these are auto-trigger supports that are always going to proc whenever that particular utility is needed first. Next, we have Koala, the Summertime Rare Recruit. This is a Rare Recruit character from any banner. Her support goes on Sabo, another very, very popular character and one that's going to pop up quite frequently. She removes Bind at level 1 for 1 turn. And then at level 5, she gets the added attack down. So if you just need a straight bind removing support, you can just keep her at level 1. You don't have to invest a lot into her. And then have one at level 5 in case you need the attack down variation of her. This is just another really, really good character that's going to help you out getting around bind. Next, we have Ein. Now, Ein is not a character that goes on too many units. With the release of Zeph and his 6+, obviously there is a little bit more to it, but at level 1, she gets around increased defense by 1 turn, and then at level 2, she gets the added % damage reduction. So keeping one at level 1 for 1 turn of defense up, and remember this is on activation of the enemy putting up defense, and then you can have one at level 5, so that way you get the increased defense up, the defense, the damage reduction, and all the healing as well. So have one at level 1, have one at level 5, just in case you need something fun for when you are using Zeph. Or Bins, I guess. But look, it's not overly used like Rayleigh or Corazon, but it is definitely something because damage reduction and defense up is a very, very good support to have to get rid of. Next, we've got Chopper and Usopp, another defense up removing support. Goes on Robin, which is the big one. Kinnamon's great, but mainly Robin. At level 1, gets around the increased defense buff, and then at level 5, gets the added resilience. So, say for example, you get resilience on stage 3, but you want the defense up removal for stage 4. Having this support at level 1 is going to help you guys out. Now, this is a Kazuna rare recruit, one of those exclusive characters that I was talking about, and if you see any of these exclusive supports, make sure to keep a second copy, just in case you ever need it. You'd rather have it and not need it than not have it. Next, we've got Sanji. This character is a rare recruit that's been around for God knows how long. I think 2nd year anniversary was the release of this character. Goes on any Luffy or Zoro, so very, very popular characters in the game. At level 1, gets 1 turn of paralysis removal, and then at level 3, gets the added despair. So keep 1 at level 1 for paralysis, and then have 1 at level 5, so that way you get the paralysis and despair removal, and that way you can chop and change depending if you need paralysis or if you need despair. He's also available in the coin shop. I wouldn't pick him up because he's literally on like every single banner. But look, there's another option for you. Next Corazon we have is the support rare recruit Corazon from the Akainu and what's it called? The Akainu and Kuzan Blitz battle. Now, recently this character popped up in the coin shop. I just want to highlight this in case he does come back to the shop. Make sure to pick up another copy and keep him at level 2 or level 1. That way you just have straight attack down removal, and then he gets the bind at level 3. Having an attack down removing support is so valuable, and bind and attack down is such a strange combination that can pop up at level 3 and then level 4 have the attack down. And having 2 copies of this unit is great. Obviously, you're going to need to wait for him to pop up in the shop again, if you guys haven't done so already. Hopefully you guys did when he came around, but he's another very, very good character for that. Another character that was in that shop was actually this Perispero. This Perispero, he's another character from the shop that you're going to have to wait to come back around. Goes on Linlin and Katakuri. These characters are getting a lot of love through Super Sugos and stuff like Big Mom. 1 turn of defense up removal on activation, and then at level 3 and above, he gets the threshold. So always good to have an extra copy that can remove the defense up. But like I said, with Corazon, you need to wait for him to pop up in the shop. Next, we've got Morley. Now, Morley and Karasu are both treasure map rare recruits. You can pick them up on any treasure map banner. And these two have been the 2 biggest ones that I've used for different supports. The Morley goes on any of the Revolutionary Army characters, including Sabo and Nico Robin. 1 turn of despair removal at level 1, and then gets the attack down removal at level 5. So having a level 1 and a level 5 is going to help you guys out. And the same thing with Karasu. Being on, I believe, the same characters, but having bind and paralysis removal. So once again, the paralysis kicks in at level 5. Having the bind removal at level 1 is fantastic, and Robin is the big one here. Sabo is great, but Robin is the big one to see this particular support being used. Next, we've got Raizo. With all this Wano shenaniganry, Raizo's actually become really handy. His support goes on basically any of the old school samurais. So, unfortunately, it doesn't include the newer characters, but like Kanjuro, Momo, Kinemon, Cat, and Dog are the big characters here. You have the paralysis at level 1, and then at level 4, the silence kicks in. So, having one at level 5, having level 1 means that you can get paralysis removal if you are using multiple of these characters, or if you just need the paralysis and not the silence. Say there's, again, special bind on level 2, then on level 4 you have paralysis. You want to be careful with what support you're bringing, so Raizo can be your paralysis remover. Next, we've got Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci is another character that doesn't really pop up on a lot of units, but he does have a very interesting support that can remove burn. There's not a lot of supports that remove burn, but at level 1 to 3, he just removes burn whenever the enemy inflicts you with it. He goes on mainly Kaku's probably the big one, and once we get into Egghead Island, this support could come back around with that. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but look, just be mindful of that. Level 5, you get the attack down, so having one at level 5, level 1. This is a treasure map rare recruit character, so another exclusive unit that pops up on particular banners, so make sure to keep one if it comes back around. Next, we've got the Buddha Sengoku. This is a regular rare recruit character. He removes Despair by level 1 at level 1, and then at level 5, he has attack down removal as well. So if you get attack down, you guys know the gist now. Like, just have one at level 5 for the attack down Despair, have one at level 1 for Despair. He's another very, very good character for that. Next, we've got Lafitte. Goes on Blackbeard characters. That's the big draw to this unit. Can go on some of the other Blackbeard pirates, but gets Bind and Despair removal at level 1, and then has Blindness at level 5. So blindness is very uncommon, and this is just a regular rare recruit, so you're going to pick up multiple copies in the future. I would highly recommend sort of maxing him out at level 5 before keeping another copy, but that blindness is that extra addition for Blackbeard if you're ever using him. Next, we've got Daruma. Daruma's not really an important one, to be honest. Mainly for Treasure Map, this is where this character's very, very good. But he has Silence on himself, and then Paralysis on whatever character you're putting him on, I should say, sorry. And Hodie's like the big one here, but we haven't had too much Fish Pirate love recently, just with all the Wano stuff that's been happening. Next, we've got Law, a great character for stuff like Beppo, Yuitus Kid, which is a big one, and then Sachi Penguin. Beppo is now a very, very good free-to-play character, so this support works great. He has the spare removal at level 1, and then at level 5, he gets the added paralysis, so make sure to keep one at level 1 and level 5. Next, we've got Kizaru going on basically any of the Admirals, I believe. Unfortunately, Green Ball's not included because Green Ball wasn't around when this character released, but you have, again, that burn removal just like Lucci, and then had paralysis at level 5. Burn is very, very uncommon support, so make sure that you guys do keep one at level 1 here for that unit. Next, we've got Cat Viper, one of the legend characters. You don't have to keep a 226 plus copies. Just basically keep a unevolved version, because this unit goes on Chopper, which is massive. Pedro is kind of cool, and Dogstorms is okay, but you get attack down at level 1, and then the bind kicks in at level 3. So having an attack down removing support just for attack down, even though it is only one turn, is very, very handy. So make sure you keep yourself a second copy of Cat Viper when you are pulling your legends. And then finally, we have the big one being Raise Max. Raise Max is so interesting because he has so many different options in what he does in his special. However, it also applies to his support. So if you have a look here, it goes on any quick character. At level 1, at the final stage, he randomizes the support character. At level 2, he gives them a quick orb. So having one at level 2 is great. That's just going to give them a quick orb, and it's going to be really, really nice. At level 3, though, he gives the supported character a matching orb. Now, if you're using dual units, this is a support that can work great. Say, for the final stage, you need a strength orb, and you're running a strength quick unit. He's going to give them a strength orb now. On level 4, he's going to give them a G orb, which is really cool. And then at level 5, you get adjacent G orb. So what I would recommend doing is to having like one for level 2, one for level 3, and honestly one for level 5, and then you can sort of just go from there with your Raise Max. But interesting character because all of his support levels are different. So they're the main support characters. Let's move on to some treasure map speed farming now. Talk about some units that are just amazing to put on your speed farming teams with an evolved copy on one and an unevolved on the other. Now, the first character is Toki. Toki is a fantastic speed farming unit for treasure map. Her special ability applies the Toki state for 2 characters and then gives them a 3.5 times attack boost on the next turn. So on stage 2, you can use this Toki ability to just bypass any ability. So paralysis, special bind, despair. And if you're building out your teams and you're doing a lot of damage with this 3.5 times multiplier, you can easily just kill just with the Toki ability on 2 units that have type advantage and stuff like that. Then you can use stuff like Kid Lord or Wave Clear on turn 2 or Izo Kiku, so you're getting chain locking shenanigans, and then it just makes things so much faster when you can just tap with those 2 units, provided the enemy doesn't have any defense up effects or anything like that. So getting around particular effects. This particular treasure map, I did use Toki for my Kaido team. I applied the Toki ability on the units that needed to remove the defense up and the damage reduction. That way they didn't have to worry about the special reverse and the special bind and all that sort of stuff. And it just made things a lot faster. If you want to use her across the board on 2 teams, she's going to be a very, very good character to keep a second copy of. She's a Kazuna legend as well, so she's an exclusive legend to exclusive banners. So make sure you are keeping 1 copy of Toki evolved and unevolved. Another really good character is Hiyori of the same line. She's a regular legend though, so you're going to probably pick her up as a ticket. The reason you want to keep a second copy of Hiyori is she has a Sailor ability that changes all orbs to Wano at the start of the fight. This means that you can just chuck her on any team and use wave clearing strats to clear stage 1 and stage 2, and that way you can just bink the mobs, keep the Wano orbs to the final fight, and this is great for getting around stuff like block orbs or super block orbs or very annoying orb shenanigans on the final stage. Plus, she has a Sailor ability that gives resistance, so you can just tap with her first if you're using stuff like Slasher teams or Cerebral teams, and then hit a good, go into the next character, and that character's doing a lot more damage. So she's a fantastic unit purely for orbs in treasure map speed content. And another character that does the same thing is this Princess Shirahoshi. The 6+, you can just keep a 5-star or a 6-star if you really want to, mainly because she has the same Sailor ability, but she gives you a full board of rainbow orbs at the start of the fight. Now, if you're using stuff like Nami Karina teams, if you're using stuff like the Tesoro ship, Also, if you're using any Psy-based team, this unit can just sort of get slot there. You don't even need to use their specials, and you can just get the Rainbow Orbs at the start, use the wave clearing strats to get past stage 1 and 2, and that way you've just got a full board of orbs on the final stage. So both Hiyori and Shirahoshi, amazing for that treasure map strat. Next, we've got Sengoku, just like Toki. This is a regular legend, though, so a lot easier to attain. This particular character can give a 3.5 times attack and orb boost to one of your characters, which is awesome. Unfortunately, you don't have that bypassing effect, but just having the 3.5 times attack and orbs means that you are going to be hitting really hard. Also, he changes orbs to tandem. He can be a 4 times if you have one of every color, but the main reason you're using him for is this particular part of his special here. Getting that 3.5 times attack, it just means you don't have to worry about bringing attack and orb boosters. You just select a character, bring a captain that has the utility that you need to get past the stages, like Special Blind or Paralysis, Blind Despair, all that kind of stuff. And then you just use this unit to give the orbs to two very strong characters that have type advantage, and then you can just kill the mini-boss that way. So, very, very good speed farming character, just like Toki. He works exceptionally well if you want to use him on multiple teams. Next, we've got Izo and Kiku. Izo and Kiku are a fantastic treasure map character, as we thought the strat of wave clearing was going to be dead with the increased total defense buff. However, it's come to like our forecoming that you can actually still use Izo Kiku. I don't know if they reverted back or if they just sort of slightly changed it a little bit, but the reason this character is so good is they do 100 times their attack in typeless damage and then do a 3-turn chain lock at 3.5. So that means you can use them on turn 2 to wave clear, get yourself an chain lock, and then you can move into the final stage with that chain lock as well. Tesoro is another character that does this, but we will talk about him in just a little bit because he's a bit of a special one, that character. But for treasure map, Izo and Kiku, they are fantastic. Plus, you can actually use them as a captain to remove paralysis as well, so you can do some fun stuff there. Next, we have Nami and Karina. Now, Nami and Karina are probably the biggest one on this list, and the reason that Nami and Karina are the biggest one on this list is because of their captain ability. They are basically just a better version of Buggy, which gives you the guaranteed chance of duping an item upon completion. Now, their captain ability in dual form is still a 5 times rainbow captain. If they have a G orb, if they have any other orb, they're still a 4.5 times captain. So you can like do some really, really fun stuff with Nami and Karina. So if you're down on materials bad, just like myself, and you need stuff like belly, you need stuff like extra limit break materials, every single treasure map, this particular character is going to come in handy because you can use them as your captain for 2 separate teams. So fantastic legend. Going to see a lot of play in the future with this particular unit, especially for your like newer to mid-game players. Finally, we have Zoro, this particular legend Zoro. Having him at 5-star and 6-star is quite nice because he's a great wave clearing captain. The 6-star is the big draw because he has a limit break ability where he gives himself cooldowns, but he also gives all characters 2 turns of cooldowns. He goes through defensive effects with true typeless damage at 100 times his attack, and that way he can just easily kill one of the mobs on turn 1 or turn 2, as well as giving your characters 2 turns of cooldowns in the meantime as well. So Zoro is a great unit. Mainly his 6-star is what you're using for in treasure map, but his 5-star is a character that could definitely see some play as well. As for treasure map, as for supports, they're sort of like the big areas you need the double characters for, or having an unevolved copy, but there is some exceptions in regular play. When it comes to regular play and across the board of stuff like PvP, Grand Party, just day-to-day content, and having 2 copies of a unit, there aren't a lot of options. There aren't a lot of characters where you're just going to need to keep an unevolved copy of that character. But there are some special occasions with Super Sugo Fest characters that get side grades, or there are particular units that work great across 2 Grand Party teams, or within 2 treasure map teams, as we spoke about with speed farming strats. But the first and the most prominent of these units is Yamato. Now, Yamato has a complete side grade with her 6+. She is an exclusive Super Sugo unit. So if you pull a second copy of her, I would highly recommend keeping an unevolved 6-star version of the unit. Now, the 6-star version is not as valuable as the 6+. So if you only have one, evolve Yamato into this Sai Yamato and keep her there. But this particular 6-star is a complete different unit. Like a whole different unit. She's an int-driven character. She can work great on the int PvP team if you're lacking options there. Not as much as she used to, but I do want to preface that this int Yamato is completely different, so I would highly recommend keeping 2. Whilst nowadays, definitely nowhere near as valuable as this one, she was the very first unit to bring about this side grade mechanic with such a, like, intended, holy crap, I need to keep 2 copies. Plus, being a Super Sugo, she's not exactly easy to pick back up on with tickets if you do feed the copies in. Next, we have the biggest one of this list, being Gear 5 Luffy. With Gear 5 Luffy, yes, you can pick up his skulls in the Kizuna shop, and that's great for a player like myself, because I can then get his rush to level 5 and just pick up the skulls to turn him into this variation whenever I like. However, for you newer players that are missing some of the old 6+s and need those Kizuna insignias to unlock that incredibly annoying shop, having 2 copies of Monkey D. Luffy is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle, because this particular unit is a complete different unit to this unit right here. And the reason that is this particular character, as a captain, has the ability to revive, but also removes bind and special cooldown by 10 turns. On top of that, in his Gear 5 form, he has the ability to ignore barriers and defensive buffs that do not include defense up. So, this unit is going to be very handy, even if you're not using his special, just as a captain, to have this ability to bypass damage reduction, threshold, barriers, null damage, all that kind of stuff, as well as bind and special reverse cooldown. So having 6-star Gear 5 is going to be a must for those mid to new players. However, 6+ is very valuable in different areas as well. 6+ really needs like one of every type for him to get all of his disgusting damage, but even versing the int bosses, he can still output disgusting levels of damage. He removes despair with his captain, so he loses that ability to get around special reverse as well as binds. Plus, he also loses that ability to go through defensive effects, which is a little bit annoying. So whilst these characters are both incredibly powerful, they are both incredibly different. So make sure you are keeping 2 copies. If you're an endgame player like myself and you have a whole bunch of Kizuna insignias, you're up to date with all of the 6 and 5+s from the Kizuna shop, you can just funnel it all into this guy right here and then just sort of chop and change, buy the skulls at your convenience whenever you want them, and sort of just go from there. But Gear 5, if any character you're going to keep 2 copies of from today's video, this is the character you need to keep 2 copies of. He's a Super Sugo unit. He will be coming back on New Year's, I would believe, on and any of the parts, whatever the Sugo looks like, but he should be on part 1 anyway. Next we have Tesoro. Now Tesoro is that interesting character I spoke about earlier, because his 6+ is actually so ridiculously good, but it's so similar to the level limit break of this particular unit too. Now ideally, if you only are funneling into one, funnel into Gil Tesoro, your 6+, get him to level limit break 5 and max him out, because most of the time you're only going to use this particular version of the character. His 6+ gives him 3 times belly, he gives cooldowns, but his special allows you to do 500,000 fixed damage, as well as giving you top and bottom row orbs, and you get a 3.75 times chain lock for 3 turns. This is great in Treasure Map, because then you can just wave clear on stage 2, get the chain lock and the orbs, and move into the final stage. He's very fast, he can kill very easily, plus he has such a low cooldown. He's on like an 8-turn cooldown or something silly, which is just absolutely disgusting. Yeah, 8 turns of cooldown, but his 6-star version, if you do end up getting like 20 copies of this unit through tickets and stuff like that, at level limit break, his special ability is pretty much going to do the same thing. 500,000 fixed damage to all enemies, changes the top row and bottom row to matching orbs, adds that barrier, and then gives you a 3.5 times chain lock for 1 turn. Now, you're not going to have that 3 turns of the chain lock. However, getting this wave clearing stuff is actually just really, really nice for Treasure Map. And if that defensive buff comes back with the turtles, the 500,000 fixed damage is actually crazy. Another thing that makes this unit so good is PvP. In this character's PvP kit, he has the ability to sort of float across 4 to 5 different teams. He gives Rainbow Special CT up to the crew, and then when you're above 50% HP, he gives level 3 defense and recovery. His special does 3,500 fixed damage and gives level 8 Rainbow defense to the crew in a large radial range. So this is great if you are using something like the quick driven team, if you're using something like the striker team, if you're just building out a regular quick team, you can chuck him on basically any rainbow defensive team. You can chuck him on rainbow at offensive teams. He works great with Jack and Shanks crew and all that kind of stuff too. So ideally funnel into this guy here, get him to level limit break 5 and just max him out. But having this particular unit at level limit break 5 as a secondary copy is not going to hurt your account. Plus in Grand Party, it works amazing because that way you can just put him across 2 teams. Not essential, just more of a luxury, but definitely something I wanted to point out to you guys. Next, we have Uta, the interesting Uta that has 3 different copies. Now, this version of Uta and this version of Uta are very, very similar, but this Uta has Shooter, Quick, this Shooter has Striker in. So, having the ability to go back and forth, if you were around the time when they gave us 500 skulls, is great. But if you don't, you have to pick them up from the Kazuna shop. And just like Gear 5, if you're a mid to start game player, it is going to be a little bit of a struggle. But being both Cerebral, having the Special Reverse and the Paralysis in their kit, makes these 2 units very, very similar. However, the middle unit being Top Musica, the one that shouldn't really exist, this is the unit that most people are going to want to keep a copy of and just keep as Top Musica. The problem is, when you need to go from this unit to this unit, you have to go through this unit at some point. So having 3 copies of this unit is great, but the unit has Final Tap, which means you probably want to funnel your copies in. But like I said, just keeping a copy of Top Musica in this particular form, mainly for PvP, because this unit is Driven Powerhouse and is completely different, that's the big reason why you're going to want to keep a copy of Top Musica. As for the 2 Cerebrals, as I said, it sort of just depends on what you're hybriding up, but you can always just bring a friend captain and do some hybrid shenanigans that way. But the 2 of them, they work exceptionally well together if you are doing some stuff with Cerebral-based teams. But this Uta is the best of the 3 in my opinion, just because she works with Super Tandem Shanks so well. But amazing character, like I said, Special Reverse, Paralysis Removal, giving that the song buff of 3 turns of an attack and an orb boost, it just works so damn nice. Finally, to wrap it up, I did include Shanks crew on this particular tier list, mainly because Shanks crew is just so good in PvP, and if you guys are struggling to building out some PvP teams and you don't know what to invest in and you just are really pulling a lot of him, you can use his 6+ and you can use his 6-star form in Grand Party. But I also wanted to end the video with a Shanks character on the screen, so that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there, bell like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As mentioned at the start, if you guys have any recommendations, let them know in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.